As mentioned before, I'm kind of a stat nerd, so finding interesting NASCAR stats is right up my alley, and hopefully it works for you too. I'm starting out with the 1989 season as that's when I became a fan. If this video is well regarded, I'll likely continue the series with successive seasons in the future. So let's take a look at some fascinating stats about the 1989 season, which I try to order chronologically as best I could. The Unical 76 Challenge was a new program for the 1989 season, giving a bonus to any driver who could win both the pole and race in the same weekend. It would offer $7,600 each race, and if nobody claimed the bonus, it would roll over to the next race. The second race of the year was at Rockingham, and since the Daytona bonus rolled over, Rusty Wallace was eligible for $15,200 by winning the pole. Wallace would go on to win the race and claim the first bonus in the program's history. However, nobody else won from the pole the rest of the season. So not only did the bonus become enormous, Kyle Petty would eventually claim $228,000 in 1990. This was the fewest race wins by a pole winner in any season in the modern era. The 1991, 2011, and 2024 seasons each had 2 winners from pole. 1989 still had plenty of winners from the front row, as 8 were won from the second starting position. This was the most in any season since 1980, and no season has matched that in the 36 years since. Heading to the season's 5th race at Darlington, Harry Gant had been in a 2+ year slump. He didn't have a top 5 in either 1987 or 1988, and had just 7 top 10s combined in those 2 seasons. The 1989 season didn't start much better. Through 4 races, Gant didn't record a top 10 and sat 20th in points. However, at Darlington, one of his best tracks, Gant grabbed the lead for the first time during a green flag pit cycle on lap 178, then made sure he won that $10,000 halfway bonus to the leader, and immediately pitted. After his pit stop, he quickly took the lead again and led 179 of the last 190 laps to claim his 10th career victory and end a 90-race losing streak and a 59-race streak without a top 5. His last win had come at the Fall North Wilkesboro race in 1985, and his last top 5 had come at the Fall Rockingham race in 1986. Gant would improve throughout 1989, ending the season with 9 top 5s and a 7th place points finish. The spring Bristol race was an absolute caution fest, easily breaking the record for most cautions in a Cup Series race with 20. The old record had been 17 cautions at the 1980 Fall Martinsville race, which was tied by the Bristol race on lap 424 with the Phil Parsons incident. As that was occurring and the caution flew, Sterling Marlin left the pits with his left side tires loosened and he spun, losing both tires in the process. It was just that kind of day. The record was then broken on lap 457 with a Harry Gant spin. The 20 cautions would not be matched until the 1997 spring Bristol race, and not broken until 22 cautions at the 2005 Coca-Cola 600, in which diamond grinding of the surface prior to the race wreaked havoc on the field. It sounds odd to say, but at this point in time, Pocono had only been hosting Cup Series races for 15 years. In the previous 22 races, the winner has only had a starting position outside the top 5 3 times. Terry Labonte would win the 1989 Spring Pocono race from 23rd starting position, breaking the record for the lowest starting position by a winner at Pocono, held by Dale Earnhardt, who started 16th in 1987. Labonte would break his own record 6 years later when, at the 1995 Spring Pocono race, he'd be victorious after starting 27th. He'd hold that record until 2005, when Carl Edwards would win from 29th on the grid. After his 1989 win, nobody at any track would win from a starting position as low as 23rd until Harry Gant at the August Michigan race in 1992, over 3 years later. Mark Martin was a qualifying machine in 1989, tying Alan Kulwicki for the series lead in poles with 6. In addition to all those poles, he started in the top 5 in 15 straight races to start the season. From the Daytona 500 through the Summer Daytona race, Martin's average starting position was a stellar 2.47. It's pretty rare to see streaks like this since it covers all types of tracks. Super speedways, short tracks, and road courses were all included in Martin's streak. To put this accomplishment into context, the second longest streak of top 5 starts for the season was Ken Schrader with only 5 straight. Martin wouldn't have as much qualifying success the second half of the season, his average start falling to 5.31 by season's end, although he still led the series in that category. While nowhere near a record, the 49 lead changes at the July Talladega race were the most in a Cup Series race since the 1984 July Talladega race, which had 68 lead changes. No other race would have more until the 54 lead changes at the 2004 April Talladega race. Over that almost 20-year span from 1984 to 2004, only 3 other races even matched the 49 lead changes of the 1989 July Talladega race. 1986 July Talladega, Bobby Hillon's first and only win, 2000 October Talladega, Dale Earnhardt's final win, and the 2001 Daytona 500, Michael Waltrip's first win. Road course races in the late 1980s were dominated by Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace. In 1989, they won both road course races, with Rudd winning Sonoma and Wallace winning Watkins Glen for their 5th and 6th consecutive road course wins between them. When the streak finally ended, it reached 8 straight victories, including 3 season sweeps of road course races from 1988 to 1990, and also included the final 2 road course wins of 1987. If you wanted to include Tim Richmond in that group, add another 3 wins to the beginning of this streak. From Darrell Waltrip's Riverside victory in 1986 to Davey Allison's Sonoma victory in 1991, it was 5 straight years of wins for Rudd, Wallace, and Richmond, or 4 straight years of wins for just Rudd and Wallace. Records for laps led in a season at both Michigan and Dover were set in 1989, and neither seems in danger to ever be broken. Rusty Wallace led 293 laps at Michigan, and while he finished second to Bill Elliott in the June race, led 131 laps. In the August race, Wallace led another 162 laps and capped off the day with a victory, beating Morgan Shepherd by over 16 seconds. Previously, the record had been 279 laps led at Michigan, set by David Pearson in the 1972 season. The closest anyone has come since has been Jimmy Johnson, who also led 279 in 2009, although he recorded finishes of just 22nd and 33rd. Dale Earnhardt led a whopping 831 laps at Dover in 1989, beating the previous record of 701 held by Richard Petty since 1974. Dale led 456 laps in the June race and 375 laps in the September race, taking home 2 checkered flags in the process. The previous year, 1988, Bill Elliott dominated Dover and still only led 595. Nobody has come close to Earnhardt's number since, and with Dover races shortened from 500 to 400 miles for the fall 1997 race, unless a lot of overtime periods occurred, beating the record would be impossible. Jimmy Johnson, again in 2009, led 569 laps at Dover in those 400-mile races to set the shortened race laps led record. With both Michigan and Dover only hosting 1 race each season now, it's likely these records will stand forever. Dale Earnhardt and Ricky Rudd have had their share of battles and contact at North Wilkesboro, including the previous year's fall race. The fall 1989 event at North Wilkesboro came down to these 2 battling side by side entering the final lap, and when they got together in turn 1 and both spun, it allowed 3rd place Geoff Bodine to take the lead and come around to win, snapping a 41 race winless streak. That was also the only lap Bodine led all race, becoming the first driver in the modern era to win a race by leading just a single lap. The next time that would happen is July 1994 at Daytona, when Jimmy Spencer beat Ernie Irvan to the line in a photo finish. NASCAR adopted the Latford points system in 1975 and used it for many years, giving some consistency to the championship battles and making them comparable from year to year. The 3-way battle between Rusty Wallace, Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt in 1989 was the closest 3-way battle, both heading into the final race of the season and after the season was over. Going to Atlanta, Wallace led Martin by 78 points and Earnhardt by 79, and after the race, led Earnhardt by 12 and Martin by 123. The only other season in the 15 years of the Latford system at the time to have 3 drivers eligible to win the title heading into the last race, assuming the points leader started the race, was 1984, when Terry Labonte, Harry Gant, and Bill Elliott battled it out. The gap between first and third heading into the final race and after the final race in 1984 was larger than the 1989 battle, though. The next time we'd get at least 3 drivers in contention for the championship at the last race of the season, and a closer battle than 1989 would be the legendary 1992 season. Hopefully those were some unique and interesting stats for everyone. Hopefully it was the right level of nerdy for everyone too. If you have any additional interesting stats about the 1989 season, please share them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to smash those like and subscribe buttons.